Roger Sutton, Editor-in-Chief of the Hornbook, and I'm here with Peter H. Reynolds, and we are talking about his new book, Happy Dreamer. Peter has a second career as a bookstore proprietor, and we are in his store, the Blue Bunny, which is in Dedham, Massachusetts, where I grew up. It's nice to be back here.
Welcome
to town,
yes.
Peter.
Yes.
How does it work? Does it feel funny to sell your own books?
It does feel a bit funny, but it's also, it's kind of nice that that they're available, you know. Sometimes you have to hunt, you go into a bookstore and you're hunting for your book, and if you're lucky, you know, you can find a couple, but I've got the whole collection here. It's good for me to keep track of them.
Yeah, sometimes I go into bookstores and I see friends' books and I'll turn them face up.
Yes, right, isn't that nice?
Doing my bit. The kind of dreaming the kids in this book do,
right,
which is, you know, I can imagine anything, I can be anything, which is sort of the direct opposite from what we do at night, where we have no control over our dreams.
Right.
Why do we call it the same thing?
It's a good, I think we need a new word maybe, right? And it's interesting too that we let kids be dreamers, but as we get older, we get more serious. Mm-hmm. And the term dreamer sometimes almost has a negative connotation. Oh, that guy's a dreamer.
Right. Stop dreaming.
Right. Stop dreaming. And it's actually, it's what enabled people like Steve Jobs and Walt Disney to be amazing and do amazing things, because they were again sort of doing what they were doing at night, which is there are no rules. Why not put it out there, see what sticks? Mm-hmm. So I think that's the goal, is to inspire people to have that freedom to dream during the day as well.
Could you just share a couple of pages of this to give our audience an idea of what we're talking about and looking at?
Sure. Well, Happy Dreamer. It's do you want me to read to you
Sure.
a little bit? Yeah. I am a happy dreamer. I'm really good at dreaming. Daydreams, big dreams, little dreams, creative dreams. And there's a little shot of him soaring through the sky. And this is one of my favorite pages. Sometimes the world tells me, sit still, be quiet, pay attention, focus. And there he is probably in school, is my guess. And I was definitely one of those daydreamers. There was always something going on in my head. And if it wasn't, you know, if it wasn't interesting in class, I was, you know, my mind.
Off I go.
Right? Yeah. I had plenty to dream about, think about. But I also, even if it was interesting, I was still sort of daydreaming. I can do more than one thing at a time. But my dreams, they have a mind of their own. Sometimes my mind just takes flight. I hear a beat and I gotta move. And then I hear another and another. I wish you could hear inside my head. Trumpety,
I don't.
Trumpety zigzag jazz. And this is one of my favorite pages. It was fun to draw, but it's also this idea that there's a lot going on inside of our heads, and especially kids' heads. And that's part of my, you know, my mission is to draw that creativity out.
How do you see a book like this doing that for children?
I'm hoping that they see that that it's here's a grown-up who has made a career of dreaming and of drawing it out and
goofing off
and it kind of worked out. In fact, I have on the flap there's a little letter from me, and it's very tiny writing, so I have to pull out my glasses for this.
I can read it. Where is it?
Oh yeah, right here.
This is a letter from Peter. I'm a dreamer, always have been. Not all grown-ups were happy with my dreaming, my zigzaggy brain, but I was lucky some were. And my parents, well, they let me be me, loved me, and things worked out pretty well.
Yeah. That little letter is, I think, maybe the most important part of that book, is to tell kids that this story might remind them of themselves, of their own quirky brain, mm-hmm. and that it's a beautiful thing, and that you will do well because of your brain, not in spite of your brain.
One thing I love in here is there's this, where's the big gatefold?
Oh yeah, just when you think the story is
I know.
over. Right?
I know I'm okay. Dreamers have a way of bouncing back and moving forward. And then it does this cool thing. There are so many ways. Here, you hold that side.
Yeah.
There are so many ways to be a happy dreamer. What kind of dreamer are you?
Voila. And yeah, so I had fun sort of creating this inventory of different ways of being happy and different kinds of dreamers. And I'm kind of hoping that readers will search to find out which kind of dreamer they are, which kind of happy they are. And of course, you can be multiple, right? Multiple happy dreamers. So.
Well, I like that the book acknowledges that there are so many different kinds of dreaming, and there are kids who are zigzaggy, as you say, but there are other kids who are, what we traditionally think of as dreamy. I think I was more like that. I did an interview last month with Jean Yang, who's the children's book ambassador, children's reading ambassador, and he described being a young kid, and they were reading groups in your class, and although the groups had these names like the Bluebirds, the Robins, and everyone knew which
I was in the Bluebirds, by the way.
Exactly. Yes. and he was in the Bluebirds too.
Yeah.
And he knew that he was frustrated because he loved to read.
Right.
But reading quickly was the thing that was being tested and valued. And he didn't read quickly.
That's the beginning of getting labels put on you, and it's dangerous to get those labels put on you because they're very sticky and they last a long, long time. And hopefully you can peel them off. And it depends on how brave
Lots
you
of
are,
therapy.
right? And therapy, and I think if you have creative parents or grandparents or caregivers around you and teachers, that they can help, either prevent those labels from getting slapped on, or they can help peel them off. So when I read this to a group of kids recently, a boy said to me, he said, "Did you notice that amazing, delightful, happy dreamer, the initials are ADHD?"
No.
Yeah. The origin of this book is that I went to a learning conference, Learning Differences conference at Harvard University. Dr. Lynn Meltzer and her crew were there talking about learning differences. So they brought in these CEOs who were very successful, and they almost all had the same story, that it was challenging for them in school. They would get in trouble, they were misunderstood, but they all said that they kind of knew what they wanted to do very, very early on, and they did it, outside of school, and sometimes they mix it in with school. Dr. Meltzer was saying that the attributes of their sort of learning in childhood were very similar to the symptoms of ADHD and ADD. And I thought to myself, well, that's interesting because I resonate with everything they were saying. I'm like, that's how my brain worked as a kid. And I thought, that's kind of sad because it sounds a little bit like a disease, ADHD. It sounds very severe and clinical. And I thought, there should be really a poetic name for that. So I took my pencil and I wrote, amazing, delightful, happy dreamer. And I thought, that's a good thing to have, that kind of brain. And so I wrote a little poem, and I tucked it away for a little while, and then I said, it's time to share it with the world. And it became a happy dreamer. I'm hoping that kids who are very focused and are, straight A students or, doing really well in school and very focused, that this book maybe encourages them to step outside of that box and try a little bit of dreaming. Following directions, following the rules, it's awesome, and there are some rules in life, like the double yellow lines on the highway, really, really good to pay attention to those. But there are some rules in life that I call suggestions, right? It's a suggested approach, but a creative thinker can turn things upside down and, try something new, and that's where innovation comes from. So if we keep doing things the same way, we'll get the same results. And of course, on this planet, we have a lot of big challenges, and in order to solve...
You are an optimist.
I am an optimist. I believe that it is through creativity that we're going to get ourselves out of this mess.
Do you have a last thought you want to share with us?
My last thought is that I hope that this book makes people optimistic and happy, and I know that there are still going to be challenges. I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist. Life is tough, and there are definitely challenges. And you have good days and you have bad days. But I think if you're creative and optimistic, that you'll have more good days than bad days.
And even on the bad days, you can dream.
And you can. And
Thank
find
you,
fellow
Peter.
dreamers. So thanks for dreaming
Find
with
fellow
me.
dreamers,
Yes.
everybody. Thank you.